Hey, welcome into Unsafe Spaces. I'm Randy Cross here with you as usual. Want to welcome those back that have seen these before, and if this is your first time, hope you enjoy it and hope you tell a friend. We appreciate all the views and all the looks we can get. Hey, this has been a great week, and let's take a look back at kind of the week that was. Isn't that great? I expect to hear lowered expectations. Yeah, the week that we just had, there's a lot of various parts to it. You can talk about baseball, because that's what baseball is it's summertime, and it's summer because it is some serious hot, at least here in the Georgia area, it's hot. Summer League in the NBA, which meant Lonzo Ball and LeVar Ball and the rest of the Ball family. Dominated the news as far as the NBA went, and made Summer League actually kind of must-see TV for all the hoops fans out there. President Trump went to France. He spent the whole time for Bastille Day with Macron, the president of France, and his family. I guess the big thing, he had the audacity of giving the president of France's wife a compliment. And people thought that was very ugly American of him to, make note of the fact, hey, you don't look so bad for an old bride. Also, when he got back from there, the biggest news of the week for a lot of people was Game of Thrones. Sunday night, Game of Thrones, Season 7, Episode 1, and don't ruin it for me because I'm watching it tonight. I still haven't seen it. But from all accounts, HBO's never had a more viewed program, and it was pretty amazing because that's a show that does not disappoint. I'm looking forward to seeing it and hope everyone enjoyed it. But probably when you look at the week and how things went, it's pretty much the big story was what didn't go. What didn't happen was we didn't see the Affordable Care Act repealed. We didn't see an American Health Care Act enacted. What we did see was what's been referred to as a Congress that has done less than any other Congress in 164 years. Yes, 164 years. So if you do the math, 2017 minus 164, that takes you back to 1853. That's when that transition from Millard Fillmore to Franklin Pierce happened as far as the presidency went. You had a vice president that lasted 6 weeks. He was a Democrat from Alabama. He passed away. They never replaced him. Looking at what happened in 53, I think My Old Kentucky Home as a song was written and adopted. That was significant for 53. A lot of politicians died in 1953, and there's a little symmetry to that because hopefully the way that our Congress has handled this whole health care issue, there'll be a lot of congressional careers dying this year and next year during the 18 elections, midterms, because of the way they're handling this. This isn't a Democratic story. This isn't a Republican story. This isn't an independent story. Well, if it was an independent story, it'd have something to do with Bernie being investigated. So obviously, it's not an independent story. But this has nothing to do with political parties. This is about who elected the president and what people expect. You've got a Congress that is a majority for the Republicans. You got a Senate that's a majority for the Republicans. You've got a Republican so-called president. But let's be real. Republicans didn't elect Donald Trump. Democrats didn't elect Donald Trump. America elected Donald Trump. And one of the main things they elected him to do was health care. And now these corrupt, I won't say ignorant because they are far from ignorant. They are wily. There's three kinds of politicians in our country, unfortunately. There are early liars, there are experienced liars, and there are old liars. And they think we're stupid. They think the average American, they can kind of reach out and tap you on the head and say, oh, that's okay. You just don't understand. No, you know what it is? You don't understand. Because you come those elections next year, you're going to get challenged. You're going to get beat. You're going to be replaced. If you're a senator or a congressman and your seat's up, and I don't care if you're a Democrat or a Republican, we got to get you out, because we didn't do what we did getting a president like this, and we're not going to do it in 18 in these midterms with the idea of the same old stuff. And I'll say stuff because I'm being nice. But the SOS approach, that isn't what we want. And if you haven't figured that out, great. Keep doing the stupid, corrupt, ignorant stuff you're doing, and you're going to find out. You know, those nice pensions, you're going to get a chance to find out what your pension is, because your butt's not going to be in charge anymore, and we're going to vote you out. Okay, that's enough of my serious stuff. Let's move on to my favorite part of the show, and that's my matador and butthurt of the week. Yes, the matador always gets it in the end. For number one here, for butthurt of the week, Cowboy wide receiver is missing his dog. Now, he announced the day it was missing that he'd come back from Florida and someone had stolen his dog. He was back in Dallas, probably for workouts or whatnot, and that someone had tried to extort him for $10,000 allegedly to return his pit bull. Well, now you've got to know there's another lead in here somewhere, right? Well, if you know the story, now that's an actual picture of the pit bull in question. Sweet face, nice little doggy. Well, he's contacted by a rapper from Orlando, I believe, or Orlando or Tampa, one of the two. And the rapper says that he's got his dog, he shows him video, and he says, oh, okay, we'll get you back your dog, but you're going to have to give us $20,000 because that's what it cost us to get him back. Check out this guy's name, too. That's the best part about it. Unbelievable. Show that. Look at that. Are you serious, dude? That's his stage name, though. Not his God-given name. That's his stage name. But anyway, it turns out said cowboy receiver gets his dog back, doesn't have to pay any money. Rapper doesn't get any money. The original person that stole it doesn't get any money. So all the way around, except for the wide receiver and the dog, everyone else is butthurt and out a lot of cash. But their plan didn't work out. We talk a little bit about UFC here. When Brian Stan was with me in the earlier segments, we'd always have something about UFC and fighting on. We got a story here that's kind of butthurt, kind of gut hurt. And it's also visual evidence that there are minor leagues when it comes to cage fighting, because this might be as minor as it gets. And I'm not talking about, that you read that right, because in MMA, doing that in the ring is kind of like tapping out. They don't just keep going after that. Check out this fine pugilistic effort by these two.
Grab the back of his head and go to work with the knees.
He's had all kinds of success with that each time he's tried to implement it. Oh!
Oh my goodness!
A small puke incident inside the cage.
That's what we have right now.
What a way to start off the night, Chad.
Chad's a jerk. Most Chads are. I know one really good dude is a Chad. He's down in Tampa. But isn't that something? Those guys are not quite the cut-up lean machines like Conor McGregor and some of these great fighters you get to see. Those are guys that are in the minor leagues trying to break in. I'm not sure if those guys belong in the MMA or the WWE or WWF or WWC or some other, maybe NXT at the next level as far as professional wrestling goes. Hey, next up is a little story about a professional quarterback, and that's Kirk Cousins from the Washington Redskins. Now, if you don't keep track, or haven't kept track of Kirk Cousins, the Redskins didn't come to a deal with him. So for the second year in a row, he's going to play for the franchise tag amount, which is approximately $24 million. Not bad. I mean, this is not what you'd call slave labor. Well, as soon as they don't agree to this deal, Bruce Allen, the president of the Redskins and their organization, puts out a video basically explaining how they offered Kirk Cousins the biggest deal, guaranteed money deal in NFL history, and makes him one of the top paid player, like the top paid player in the league. A couple problems with that. Number one, with this, his second year, he's guaranteed that $23 or $4 million. So there's the first guarantee. They're also figuring into the guarantee next year's guarantee, whether he's a franchise or a transition tag, and that's going to be about $28 million. So there's $51 million right there. So if you want to brag about guaranteeing $52 million, you're only talking about $300,000 or $400,000 besides those two guaranteed years he was going to get anyway. The bottom line on this story is Kirk Cousins is going to be a quarterback next year, and it ain't going to be for the Washington Redskins. I guarantee you this guy will ball out this year. He will play his ass off, and he will perform. And if it wasn't for that abysmal deal that the NFL Players Association signed this last time around, Kirk Cousins would already be somewhere else, whether it's Cleveland or Denver or San Francisco, back with Shanahan, somewhere. But Kirk Cousins wouldn't have to go through this garbage like this. They'll set you free eventually, and you're going to be paid an awful lot of money. Don't leave Chicago, by the way, out of that formula as far as teams where he might end up. This is a great story, and this, of course, only happens in Florida. This is the first of two only in Florida stories we have. Now, picture this. You're asleep. You've got a family, 2-3 kids, and all of a sudden you hear this bam, 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 all these loud sounds coming from your roof. What in the heck was that? Well, if you're this Florida family, what happened? What was it? It was approximately 15 pounds of frozen sausage that just fell out of the sky. You imagine that? 15 pounds. They're lucky it hit the house. Because if you were outside and 15 pounds of frozen sausage hit you, you are DOA. You are gone. Death by frozen sausage. And of course, stories like this only happen in Florida. And the amazing thing about it happening in Florida is it didn't happen to somebody in a trailer home. That would have just completed the story. Story number 2 out of Florida, I've titled Poetic Justice. There's actually a couple little stories here. And the first one is a story of a puppy. And that's a puppy that's got a bad owner and an owner with bad intent. Well, this guy tries to shoot his puppy. Puppy puts his paw on the gun, and the guy pulls the trigger and shoots himself. Thus, poetic justice. Little baby pit bull shoots the man. I think it's fantastic. Hands up, right there. There's the perpetrator who pulled the trigger on this guy. Story number 2 from Florida, and again, only in Florida, absolutely only in Florida, is this story here. And unfortunately, if you Google just the base title, man, sex, pit bull, you get way too many instances where this happens. Guy had sex with a pit bull in his yard and had his neighbors screaming at him and begging him to stop. Poor pit bull. But look at this dude. He kind of looks like the guy that was with the dolphin a couple weeks ago, I thought. Those are some crazy, crazy eyes. That guy's out of his mind. But, stuff like this does only happen in Florida. I'm sorry. But, no, hold on. Not that pit bull. That's not the pit bull no. There you go. That's the pit bull. That unfortunately, that almost, with that face, that could be the pit bull that got taken advantage of by that gentleman. Not good stuff. bad form for butthurt. And that's something that we'll just let that lie right there. That is the end of butthurt, which leads us right into the next segment of the show, is our whole collection of stories that make up real world news. Well, have you ever wondered if some people really listen to things that they say, or what's their motive when they say things? Because for me, when you read through news stories, there's things that just jump out at you. And this one just jumped out at me because it was suggested, and a challenge went out, that the Chechen president or strongman or dictator wanted to challenge Dana White and the UFC to a battle to the death. Yeah, of course. Haven't you seen Rollerball? Same part of the world. Check this out. There he is.
It's fight night in Grozny, the capital of Chechnya, a Muslim republic within the vast Russian Federation. A kind of country within a country.
This MMA tournament is unlike any other in the world. You won't find any ring girls here. In fact, there are virtually no women at all. And it's not really about punching either. Tonight is about raw political power, because the guy running the show is also running the country. A military dictator, he's the head of the Chechen Republic, Ramzan Kadyrov.
Yeah, so Ramzan Kadyrov wants to have fights to the death. He's challenged Dana White and the UFC to see if that can work out. And his rationale is his people have always been at war. So by that virtue, then they're used to fighting to the death. You know, the best way to avoid fights to the death is not to agree to do them with batshit crazy people. And that would definitely qualify as bat poop crazy. I'm sorry. That's out of this world. Speaking of bat poop crazy, that leads us right into the next story in our real world news, and that's a story about the entertainer. I guess he's a singer, maybe a rapper, R.Kelly. R.Kelly was rather infamous several years ago for his, well, let's just say for all the wrong reasons. I'll let you look it up. Google R.Kelly. And that story will come up. But he's been associated here lately with a sex cult. And supposedly this thing's happening in Johns Creek, which is a stone's throw from here where we're sitting right here. And it's where my house is, in Johns Creek. Now, his captive has spoken out because her family came out at a press conference saying she was being held against her will. And here's her saying, you know what? I'm not being held against my will, but any good cult member and hostage would probably say the same thing.
I'm 21. I'm about to be 22 in about 5 days. And I just mainly want to say that I'm in a happy place with my life, and I'm not being brainwashed or anything like that. You know, it just came to a point where it definitely has got out of hand.
Yeah, so, you know, and R.Kelly is supposedly got a whole flock of women there at his Johns Creek house. Now, I'm saying house, but look at this place. So if you Googled R.Kelly house, that's kind of what comes up. He's got himself quite the palatial manner, if you would. Maybe even a stately manner like Bruce Wayne did in Batman. But R.Kelly has got a lot of stuff going on and still has some issues. I don't know if he still does anything music-wise, but he's got some issues and some stuff going on in his life, that's for sure. And in a worst-case scenario, he's got a sex cult going in this big house in Johns Creek, allegedly. Next up is a story we've revisited a couple of times, and it reared its ugly head again this week. Mike Vick, who has done a fantastic job of rehabilitating his image, rehabilitating his life. He spent 19 months in Leavenworth, paid the price for his dogfighting crimes, and since then has done huge amounts of public service in addressing animal cruelty and whatnot. He was asked about Colin Kaepernick and why he was unemployed. He made a great point, as I've made here, that it's got nothing to do with him being a social justice warrior. It's about he just can't play football, okay? And then he made a point that maybe wasn't quite as good, because he said that Colin Kaepernick should cut his hair if he wants a job in the NFL. Maybe not, maybe you don't go there, but if you look at past pictures, Michael was a guy that had the cornrows and all that stuff going on, and now he's pretty normal looking dude. And like I said, he's done a great job. He has a real good life right now, and I'm happy for him. But the bottom line on this Kaepernick guy is, I really don't care, because he's never going to play in the NFL again. And it's mainly because he's just not a very good quarterback. Sorry. That's enough. Too much about Colin Kaepernick. Hey, next up is my old home state. I moved to California when I was 4 years old. I lived in California until I was, 40 years old. And California has been a fantastic place for me. But California's got some issues. That's been in the news, all the different things, whether it's the immigration, the fact that they're broke and in the whole billions and billions of dollars. But this story really jumped out at me as being something you might want to do something about. And that's the fact that testing wells in the Central Valley, which is pretty much the breadbasket and fruit basket and, the unbelievable agricultural center for the United States, that there's not even an easy way to say this. There's poison in the water. Check this out. Cancer-causing chemical.
Today, the State Water Board set the maximum contaminant level on 123 TCP. That's a cancer-causing chemical that's flowing in your water.
It's a multi-million-dollar project, and water companies across the valley only have 6 months to come up with the money.
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal. I love that. It's a big deal. Yeah, when you don't have the money, a multi-million or billion-dollar project is a big deal, because that's not just locally. That's something that when you have the valley, all the groundwaters, the aquifers, that's all connected. And that stuff's in there. And how long has it been in there? And how long have people been drinking that water? And how long have they been spraying it on the crops? And people have been bathing in it and everything else. That's a scary thought. I cannot even begin to tell you. But for my old home state, I wish my friends out there to be nowhere near this poisoned water. All right. Next up, oh yeah, we're going there. We're going to the tinfoil hats. Maybe next week I'll actually get a tinfoil hat and wear it in this segment. Tinfoil hat is these are stories that exist because there are people that believe wholeheartedly that these stories are real. Well, my old home state of California is in the news again, and in this case, it's kind of for a bad reason, and you're reading that right. California congressman decided to ask a NASA official if there was a civilization hundreds of thousands or millions or billions years ago on Mars. Yeah, Mars. Check this out.
Last thought. I would hope that, again, I think the moon is close by, and whatever we can actually get a benefit out of going back there, we should, before you take the next step. However, the most important thing was if Mars, can I ask permission for 1 minute for this question? And that is, you have indicated that Mars was totally different thousands of years ago. Uh-huh. Is it possible that there was a civilization on Mars thousands of years ago?
What?
So the evidence is that Mars was different billions of years ago, not thousands of years ago.
Well, yes.
There is no evidence that I'm aware of that.
Would you rule that out? That, see, there's some people. Well, anyway.
I would say that is extremely unlikely.
Okay.
Congressman Rohrabacher, well played, sir. He's now going to go down in the annals of tinfoil hattery, right there next to the congressman from Georgia that asked in a congressional hearing if all the militarization on the island of Guam was going to cause it to tip over. But Rohrabacher wants to know if millions or billions of years ago, if there was a civilization on Mars. He's got nothing better to do. Now, do you have any doubt as to why they can't do jack in Washington? Because we have morons like this, asking questions like this. And these are things, do you really care about that? No. Is that why you sent them there? No. Oh my God. But anyway, I digress. Let's move on to story number 2. And it's about an area that's, it's become legendary. It's a part of the country that has its own little name. It's called Area 51. Area 51, yeah, that's where they brought all the stuff from Roswell when the UFOs crashed there in 47, 48. All the little aliens were brought there supposedly. All the spaceships were brought there supposedly. That's where we kind of retrofit all their technology supposedly. But it's back in the news, and the news part is that it's not only active, but they're underground.
And what we have just received right here at Third Phase Moon from a discovery from Sweden. The man wants to remain anonymous, but we're going to shout out the country who discovered this. Thank you so much. Take a look what he discovered right here. We're going to pull in, and right in this mountain range, if you see this driveway, it seems to lead to some kind of, take a look at this, hidden underground entrance, possibly. Are these two entries to a base within this mountain range?
How about the road to the right of it?
And take a look at this, guys. I want to get your thoughts on what we're looking at. Are they harvesting mineral out of this mountain, or is this an entrance to a military base? Some people might say.
What?
Possibly to Hollow Earth. What?
Hollow Earth? You notice, though, in that picture where you're looking at the road, at the end of that road off to the right where they didn't zoom in was a tunnel. So it's obviously a tunnel that goes into another mountain. But anyway, I digress. I'm having fun at their expense. And that is part of that big news. That's why we love these tinfoil hat controversies, because they're either harvesting minerals, which is on this end of the spectrum, or they're hangars for spaceships for aliens because of all the stuff they've cited there. Yeah. Okay. You gotcha. No big deal. Hey, speaking of caves or hangars or large openings in the sides of hills, how about a large opening in the side of a mountain? How about a mountain in Washington State? Mount Adams. Check this one out.
A group of people attending a UFO conference in Washington state say they spotted a large opening near the top of Mount Adams, and some claim it's an opening for alien spaceships to depart and enter.
Oh yeah.
With the history of UFO and orb sightings in this area, anything is possible. But an alien hangar?
You know, the one thing that a robotic voice can't do is inflection. So when that female robotic voice says, but an alien hangar, what she meant to say is, but an alien hangar? What? Are you stupid? The side of a mountain that's been there forever? Yeah, but you know, if this wasn't a tinfoil hat quality story, it wouldn't be in the tinfoil hat section, because they can come up with pictures of stuff flying around Mount Adams. Oh, I love it. I love it. Our last might be our best. Now, when you think of spaceships, don't you think of interactions? You know, thousands, millions of years ago, There had to be some stuff that came here and went, boy, they're not very developed, are they? Well, little did they know. There's a story here. Now, this is a good one, where you've got aliens, you've got spawn of aliens, you've got some kind of alcoholic beverage, and you have vehicles or spaceships, something to carjack, or in this case, saucer jack. Check this out. Yeah, there you go.
Anana gets Enki drunk, steals his spaceship. She then tricks Enki, the trickster god.
He's a trickster.
Gains access to immense research, technology, and knowledge.
Tricked.
This tablet is titled Inanna and Enki.
Oh, anybody can see that. Can't you tell that? I mean, it's easy to read. It's as plain as the nose on your face. So they give you a little map on the right to give you an idea of where in the world this is. Most of these ancient civilization stories, though, come somewhere from that, Egypt into Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, up in the stands up there. That's where these kind of stories happen. But they're sort of extrapolating this story out, which, as you heard, was an alien being taken advantage. And the alien was the trickster, but he was gotten drunk by a spawn of an alien, a half-human, who got him drunk and hijacked his spaceship. You know? So it's not only just them. And it's not only people that live in mobile home parks and out in rural America that get taken and experimented on it and prodded in all kinds of ungodly places. It's also other aliens, or at least half aliens, that do these kind of things. Gotta love that story, huh? Hey, let's do right now a part of the show that we're going to do every week, and we've done it now for the last few, and we're going to keep this going, and that's the feel-good story of the week. And the feel-good story of the week comes via one of the best entertainers in the world. And he just happens to be a country western singer. It's Garth Brooks. And by virtue of his association / marriage with Trisha Yearwood, they at times have toured together. And they're an unbelievable show. If you get a chance to see Garth Brooks, go and see him. He is really good. Well, this particular concert was going to happen in Oklahoma. And, well, watch the video, listen to a little bit of the story.
This is cell phone video of Garth Brooks singing Unanswered Prayers in Oklahoma Saturday night. Drew Bargsley had been waiting for this exact moment to propose. You can hear the crowd erupt in the background when he does. And apparently, Garth did too.
Did someone just propose to somebody up there that I missed out?
He was down on one knee holding the ring. Of course, I started crying, and then the next thing I know, Garth Brooks is addressing us on stage.
Okay, we're going to start with names. What is you all's name? What is it? Drew! And? Drew and Chelsea. How you guys doing?
And I'm like, us?
3 months.
Drew and Chelsea have been together for 3 years, have kids and a house in Hearst. The Garth tickets were a birthday present.
So have you already got, you guys got a date planned? You got anything
Seats
like that
this
yet?
good were an unexpected upgrade from a booking error. But their luck didn't end there.
Chelsea, where do you want to go on your honeymoon? Where? No idea? Well, I'll tell you what. If you pick Hawaii, Miss Sherwood and I will pay for it, okay?
How about them apples? A free trip to Hawaii on your honeymoon from Garth Brooks and Trisha Yearwood. That's just worth going to concerts from now on, especially Garth Brooks concerts, on that off chance the next one might be you. It's a fantastic story. If you come across feel-good stories, please feel free to shoot one along to us. Best way to do that is to send them to an email account. It's producer@unsafespacesUSA.com. That's producer@unsafespacesUSA.com. I want to let you know that starting this week, Unsafe Spaces is going to be up on iTunes. You can find it there. You can find it on SoundCloud. You can find us on Twitter and Facebook, all the other formats. And we love to have it. And you know what? We love the fact that you enjoy our shows. Send us a little input. Also, producer at unsafespaces.com. Time now for us to say to you, happy trails.
Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then. Who cares about